The Pay Request tile provides the ability to create pay apps for owners and contractors. It can then be attached to accounts receivable to easily create invoices from the application values. If accounts receivable is in place, the net receivable will display on the Pay Request tile in JCPM. When a new job is added, a zero pay request is included, mainly to add your scheduled values. There's a couple different ways the scheduled values can go in. They can be added manually, line by line, with the code being used simply to put the line items in the proper order. If you're going to have up to 99, you want to make sure to use a leading zero. Because it's a text field, it will not recognize numbers, so you will want to fill each field that will be used. So 99 will be 0102. If you'll have more than 100, you'll use 001, 002, making sure you fill those 3 digits. If you are going to be doing manual entry, an easy way to cut down on typing time is to set up descriptions. If your descriptions are pretty much the same for most pay apps, you can set up a value, and as you start typing, it'll fill in the words. This helps not only with cutting down on typing time, but consistency. You can also copy and paste from a similar pay app from another job, or you can go from an Excel spreadsheet. If you're using an Excel spreadsheet, the easiest way to make sure that all the columns come in the same way without any errors is to copy the pay app itself out to a spreadsheet and use that as your form. In this case, we did do that with this Excel spreadsheet. The phase can be left blank, and if the phase is left blank and is not on the Excel spreadsheet, one easy way to eliminate that from the pay app is to hide the field. To hide the field, you can either right-click at the top and left-click on Hide, or if you're using a runtime version of JCPM, which doesn't have the right-click available, you can just simply highlight the right-hand side of the field and drag it over to hide it. When I close the screen, if I've hidden fields or moved them around, when I go back in, it will move them right back to where they were. In this case, we can copy in from the Excel spreadsheet, and because everything is the same, I can simply right-click at the top to highlight the whole thing, left-click on Copy, and then move over to my Pay app and do the same, except select Paste. Once those records are in here, I can now change them and adjust anything I might need to. Let's move on to an existing pay app that we can use to create our next. The scheduled values can be adjusted as you go up through, and this is either from change orders or just adjustments that needed to be made from the beginning. To add a new pay request, I select the Add button at the top, selecting the last pay request, as it's going to move the information from that pay app into previous, and then my new request number with a description. The date of the request is important, as this will include change orders through the request date. For instance, if I have a change order that was approved on 8/26, it will not be included on the cover sheet of this pay app. So you do want to be careful of your dates and make sure your change orders are within your pay app time period if they need to be included. So now that we've opened this pay app, we can see that our stored material and this application fields are 0, waiting for us to add our new values. Everything has been moved into previous applications. You can either set up your application values or add new ones by entering a dollar amount, or by adding a % complete. So in this case, My change order 1 is 100% complete, and it will toggle the application value back and forth between that and the percent complete. It doesn't matter which one you use, and you can mix and match them through the pay app. The retainage is withheld at the default retainage for the pay application, which is listed up at the top. But if for some reason they're not withholding retainage on a single line item, I can change a line item's retainage. In this case, they're not going to withhold retainage on my change order, so I can change that to 0. Again, that can be done either in the dollar amount field or in the percent. As you go down through and enter your application values, I can hit the refresh at the top so that it applies my application total at the top, and it will display it at the bottom, along with my previous, total application, and my balance to finish and retainage amount. To bill retainage, you can either individually change the retainage amounts on your line items, or I can change them up at the top for the whole pay app. Say you can bill 5% and then withhold it 5% from this point forward in the job. I can come up to the top, hit change that to 5%, hit run, and it will verify that you do want to apply this to the pay items below. And my retainage is set to 5%. What will happen is the previous retainage will be viewed, the current retainage amount viewed, and it will bill the difference between the two. Another function of the pay app is the ability to split out your continuation sheet by phase. In this case, I need a phase 1 and phase 2 continuation sheet. So I set up individual line items using the phase. If the phase isn't in use, you can leave this field blank. And then you can see I have phase 2 set up with the same items, general conditions, landscaping, and I apply my change orders to the proper phase as well. Change orders can be automatically added by utilizing the Add from Change Orders. Any change order line items not already applied to a pay app will be included, and you can check them to apply. Once they've been applied to a pay app, they won't display in this list anymore. If you do apply this, you can then change the code number to put it in the pay app where you'd like it to show. Once my pay app is all done and I'm ready to print, I can close it and print a cover sheet or several different continuation sheets. The cover sheets and continuation sheets can be chosen specific to a job. If you have one that requires a signature for engineering, or no change orders showing on the cover sheet, you can select that, and it will be selected specific to this job and not change the cover sheet standard for any other job in the system. This is an example of a cover sheet. And this is an example of a continuation sheet using phases. My phase 1 is on my first page with a phase total. And then I have not only a phase 2 total, but then a third sheet with a grand total of the whole pay application. In addition to the continuation sheet splitting out by phase, which, by the way, you don't have to do. Even if you're using phases, you can just ignore the phase and just print it in order. I also have a phase summary sheet that I can use as a cover, and that will just list each phase that you're using with the scheduled value and the pay application totals. Another key thing to remember when dealing with pay requests is number one, accounts receivable, if in use, does protect the pay application by locking it if that particular month of receivables has been closed and locked. If you were to go into one of the pay applications and you see locked in red at the top, you will not be able to make any changes, so you'd have to check with accounting in order to make those changes. And that's due to the fact that accounting has created an invoice from the application values, and you don't want your pay app and the invoice created to be different. This way it forces communication between the project management team and accounting. The other thing to remember is if you do change values on a previous pay app, say number 15 needed to be adjusted and I've created 16, you will have to edit the previous application value on any pay requests added since the one you've changed. So I would have to come in and change perhaps my previous application amount for this change order if I had to change it in number 15. Imaging is also available and can be used to perhaps add an image of the signed pay app or any corrections that were made by the owner and sent back. And if a pay app needs to be done completely over, as long as it is not locked, you can delete the pay application by selecting the one needing to be deleted and then hitting the delete key at the top. One additional item we've added for the project managers to be able to view and see what's going on their job in accounting is to view the invoices for the job. This will display all of the invoices for that particular job, whether it came from the pay app or not. These are all obviously pay applications because the invoice will have the draw number automatically. But you can also see that there are a couple oddball type invoices that are perhaps adjustments made outside of the contract. This also allows you to see whether or not it's been paid. For instance, draw number 8. We can see that that net due was $108,000, and down here on the left, it was paid on 7/20. And that should do it for pay applications. Give our office a call at 407-834-0700 if you should have any questions regarding the pay request processing.